What's happening? Hey. Welcome. We are doing it Ka-Pow tonight. And today, I owe this stream. Hold on. There we go. All right, cool. Had to turn that down a little bit. All right, so welcome. I am Dr. Solo. They call me Doc at school. Doc Solo from Ka-Pow, the Comic Art Academy, with a Thursday night sketch and chill. Thank you guys so much. Dawn, Chaotic, what up, though? All right, so to be perfectly honest, tonight was a struggle for me to get on. Your boy is tired, but I'm trying to get on this Thursday night routine with Ka-Pow. The school has been, we have been inundated with applicants, and so I've been doing final application interviews, second interviews for student prospects, as we are fast approaching filling all the seats that we have made available here for Ka-Pow for our 23-24 school year that starts in September. So ignore that graphic. That graphic is not correct. I gotta edit it. There are no longer 7 seats available. There's more like 3 seats available, and we've got 5 interviews coming up, 5 or 6, not to mention several more conventions. And so I'm excited about what's happening at Ka-Pow. And then this, our official 3rd year, but in my opinion, our 2nd year of operation in our efforts to become the preeminent online, virtual, real life comic art school for real people with real lives. And so anyway, what are y'all arguing about here in Twitch, Dawn and Chaotic? I'm gonna talk. Welcome Twitch family, welcome YouTube family, welcome Facebook family, welcome. And tonight we're gonna do something red tonight. I'm working on some red craft paper, and let me go ahead and start my other recording device so that I can go ahead and record whatever I'm doing here in the background. So we're doing something red tonight. I'm thinking either Spawn, Batman Beyond, or, I mean, everybody and their mom is doing Miles Morales. And though I'm a huge Miles Morales fan, I'm a little bit, I ain't trying to do all that. So, anyway. I love my Twitch family. They there's a little running competition who jumps in the stream first, and Chaotic be quick with it. So anyway, what do we got suggestions? You guys got any suggestions for anything red? I was gonna draw from the Ka-Pow power prompts tonight, and though I do have the Ka-Pow power prompt on my phone, right? The problem has been that for some reason the I have my guy on top of it, but it has since been removed from the Apple Store, the App Store. It's still on Google Play, our 5-star prompt app, and that's kind of my go-to. It's kind of why I created it. I created it so that I would never have a question of what to draw, right? What was appropriate to draw. And so, though I have it on my phone, you can't currently download it in the App Store. We are rectifying that right now, but it is available in the Google Play Store. In negative, so you said Miguel O'Hara in the negative space. Okay, we can use a negative space for Miguel. That's not hard. Said Miguel O'Hara. I like that. I'm kind of digging how everyone is vibing with Spider-Man 2099. And so we're going to go ahead and that's as good as anything. We're going to go ahead and do a Miguel O'Hara. Spidey 2099 here tonight on Ka-Pow. And so if you have not done so already, like, follow, subscribe wherever you may be watching Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. We're everywhere right now because we have no direct affiliation and association with the Ka-Pow, as I am just now starting to make this a regular thing as we start moving into our school year. I'm excited with the new instructors we have, the amazing Brian Atkins of G.I. Joe fame, and IDD published. He has a huge portfolio of work, as well as Brian Shearer, our phenomenal instructors at Ka-Pow, and my assistant director. We have been working this summer trying to really make this an experience worthwhile. So we're gonna do she said, Mikhail, you don't like him very much, and why'd you suggest him? Mr. Melee, what's up, son? My son, Mr. Melee, watching us on Twitch. All right, so I'm doing red tonight, Mr. Melee TV. What do you suggest? Chaotic suggested Spider-Man 2099, but she doesn't particularly like the character. So, you got any suggestions for red? Don't give me Miles Morales, because I'm just taking a little break from Miles temporarily. I'll go ahead and reposition this camera here, because my hand keeps interrupting the side stream that I got, the side recording I got going on. So the emphasis tonight is red. That's the color we got. That's what we're working with. We're doing something red tonight. Bro. Omni-Man. Ooh. Ooh. Omni-Man. I like Omni-Man. We can do Omni-Man. Let's do Omni-Man. That's appropriate. That who saw that that new Invincible that came out? You didn't read the rest of what I said. I can't do a lot of reading here because I'm about to do some drawing. Oh, he said he's got a good theme song. He looks cool, but he's got a good theme song. Yeah, he's cool. I like Miguel O'Hara. So yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and let's see, Omni-Man, Miguel O'Hara. You know what? We'll see. Let's see. Let's get through one first. All right. So let's go ahead and make. Now see, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. I don't know how good it's showing up on this camera. But I'm using a yellow colored pencil to kind of give me a little bit of contrast with this this red, so I can go ahead and really kind of see what I'm doing. I could easily use a white. Let me see. Let's see if the white shows up better for you guys. There we go. We'll go with the white. There you go. You guys can see the white a lot better. I can see the yellow here, but you guys can't see it. There you go. All right. Hope everybody's having a good Thursday night. This was really a pull on me because I was up with a little one all night last night. And she didn't let me sleep. I'm going to do this in a semi-animated style, so I'm going to simplify the shapes to kind of think, Mark, think. Think, Mark, think. Do you honestly think you can beat me? This is actually Miguel O'Hara. I'm gonna see if I can get through Miguel O'Hara, and then I'm gonna jump back to Omni-Man. I'm waiting for my branded X hats that I'm known for at cons to be finished, so that because I feel naked without my hat on here. Those of you who have met me at conventions and whatnot kind of know that that's kind of my trademark, my X hat. So I'm using very simple shapes here to kind of really just block in the body to give it more of an animated feel. I just need to pull up my reference. I have not seen the new X-Men comics. I largely don't read a lot of comics, admittedly. That's what I tell people. If you talk to a lot of pros, guys that are actively working in the industry, or people like me that aren't actively working in the industry but are of the industry and have other things going on like Ka-Pow, reading comics becomes a luxury. That now I buy comics from artists that I feel that that have something I could really glean something substantial from. But you know, I really don't like collect comics anymore. I just got some, and especially at the price point what they're costing nowadays, man. Let me tell you something. It's pricey, and I got businesses to run and bills to pay and all that good stuff. Yeah, this whole thing with Miss Marvel is laughable. The industry is like, what they're trying to cater too much to the to the to the movies and just keep everything, you know, just you're letting the wrong people make the decisions, and that's the truth. You're letting the wrong people make the decisions oftentimes, and it's just leading to straight up chaos. So this whole thing now trying to make her a mutant after she has been identified and established clearly as an inhuman, you know, retconning has become now the panic button of Marvel and DC. It's the panic button. And the characters, and especially those that have been around as long as I have, we are largely disinterested at this point. We are largely disinterested at this point. I'm old school, you know. I may be too old school. That may be the problem. I may be too old school. There's that. I can lean into that critique. And is anybody really interested in the Marvels? I don't know. I really don't know. I'm like, do people even really care? I don't know. I mean, me and Mr. Melee, we're gonna go see it anyway because that's kind of our thing, you know. As father and son, we go check out all of the new um, superhero releases, no matter what the reviews say. We kind of go and kind of see it as fans, but it's getting bad, y'all, and y'all know it. It's getting bad, which is why we say at Ka-Pow, we want your stories. Your stories. We want students that have stories of their own to tell and want to tell them as polished as possible in a refined way. That really want to, be true to the game. That's the comic craft. Because Lord knows Hollywood ain't doing us no favors. Hollywood ain't doing us no favors, y'all. Disney Plus is hurting. They hurting. Secret Invasion, worst reviewed show ever. Who saw Secret Invasion and did you like it? I saw it. I thought it was pretty bad. Especially when you know what the canon was like. I thought it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. All right, so we're going to start inking this bad fella. Spider-Man 2099. I'm going to see how this red tone is going to take some blue ink once I get to that point. But right now, we're just going to start, going to get me a decent, I might use a brush pen. I might use a brush pen tonight. Let me see. How does this food look? Let me see. That'll work. We'll stick with this for a while. I'm going to do a really thin negative space. I would like to go ahead and make this really dark. I'm a page spinner. I try not to spin. I'm trying to learn how not to spin the page nearly as much. But I'm a page spinner, y'all. Just know that. I'm a page spinner. And hopefully you can notice how I'm using nice, smooth, long strokes to really just commit to the line and just navigating. I gotta get my reference. I actually have the Spider-Man 29.99 action figure. Let me pull that up. Let me pull that up. Dodo! Miguel O'Hara. Spider-Man 29.99. My Marvel Legends. Striking a pose that only works on my display. So, there's that. All right. So feel free. I'm kind of waking up a little bit, entering a flow state. So if I go dark or go quiet, I'll respond. I saw one guy streaming that I follow, and I think I'm gonna start adopting his little system. I think it was kind of cool how he put a timer on it, and in order to kind of get through projects and actually finish them, he has like this undisturbed, like 10 minutes of focused drawing. I'm like, that's pretty cool, and the audience just kind of watches and lets him do his thing, and it kind of gives him a pass to go ahead and just go ahead and make the cool stuff.
Winds southerly at about 15 with gusts of 25 miles an hour. Barometric pressure 30.00 and is rising. And no precipitation. We're about a half inch behind. Correction, a half inch ahead for the year, and 1 and 5300ths behind.
That's a good one.
For the year so far. We'll be looking for a little bit of a change tomorrow, and of course the possibility of some scattered showers. Today, of course, there's nothing showing up on the radar. However, the satellite photo was pretty interesting for the western half of the U.S. Rain showers and thunder showers along that frontal system, and that wide band of fairly heavy snows. Now, what will happen each time that you see the frontal system on there? That begins at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then you'll see the cloud pattern move until 2 o'clock.
Hoping the thickness of this Fudesuke. Carries well. I'm gonna go ahead and get this hand in here. Go, that's kind of cool. That'll work. Glad you could join us. What's been happening with you, Don? How you been? I haven't seen you in a while. You need what for your streams? Oh, this music is coming from this is just a compilation of copyright-free lo-fi music, right? Since this is sketch and chill, I could put something a little bit more energetic on, but I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm a good tired, but I'm tired. Did you decide what you're gonna do with your monitor? You recently got in a counterpart relation. What is a counterpart relation? You must be working on some cosplay stuff. Chaotic. That's cool. Now I figured that's what you meant, Don. I figured that's what you meant. I caught it. I caught it. I caught it. That's good, man. That's outstanding. That's outstanding. That's outstanding. I'm sure she's amazing. You guys get along famously, I assume. We get along famously. Famously. And the hardest thing about this dude is this darn emblem they made. The way they made it. They made it so complex. But again, since it was done in CG, once you have the model, you really ain't got a whole lot of extra to worry about. But drawing this thing repeatedly, I'm sure it was a headache. I'm sure it was a headache. All right. I think Christopher Anka did this design. What up? One reason. The reason. The one. The only one reason. What's happening, bro? That's my dude. So one reason, you guys have to thank one reason for me getting on here. And the one reason is one reason why I got on here tonight. Because my brother held me my feet to the fire and was like, Solo, is it me or did I miss a Ka-Pow stream today? Because you did say you were going to be streaming on Ka-Pow in the evening. And I was about to tap out. Real talk, y'all. I was about to tap out. I'm tired. I've been up with a baby all night. You know what I'm saying? Brother was not feeling no parts of streaming. And this is when good brothers come and they kind of, because they want to see you win. You know, and he knows that, you know, there's a lot riding on my school and the success and all this other stuff. And he's like, bruh, you supposed to be streaming or did I miss it? I'm like, man, dag nabbit, why? And I just told a dude, because I've been in student interviews all day, which is again, that's a Ka-Pow thing. That's great. You know, students are applying, you know, wanting to take their art and their stories to the next level. And so that's a thing. That's a thing. But it wears you out. Like the last interview I had was like an hour The dude had all the questions. And if you apply, it's a 2-hour, not a 2-hour, a 2-part interview process. The second interview is with me. You know, if you pass muster with the first interview, which is with my assistant, who's also my daughter. You know, this is a family affair. And so, yeah, you get back to me. You did good. You get past her. And so, I was tired, man. And then here comes the one reason. I just told a dude who also asked, he was like, well, he didn't ask. I told him I was streaming. And he's like, what time? And I'm like, you know what? I'm not streaming today. Forget it. And then one comes right behind me. He's like, bro, didn't you say you were streaming today? And I felt so guilty. I was like, oh, I want to go to sleep. I want to chill. I want to get some good food. I still haven't eaten yet. I want to get some good food. I want to see my wife when she gets home from work. I want to snuggle. You know what I mean? And just kind of enjoy my evening and wake up and do more interviews tomorrow and stream on Honor Studios, my studio. I'm like, I just got all this stuff. It's like, I got all these things. And this brother comes and he makes me keep my word. He makes me keep my word. Oh, if you're not familiar with One Reason, if you're watching this on Twitch, One Reason, this brother has a morning gospel, if you're into that kind of thing, which I am, a morning gospel jam session, and the brother spins all the hits. The brother is a DJ for real, okay? And I lean on him heavily during my workouts. Heavily doing my workouts. Okay? Because the brother be bringing that kind of heat. You bringing that kind of heat. Check out One Reason. Thank me later. Check him out now. Thank me later. I'm just messing all this up. Y'all about to watch me really fudge this with this darn spider on the chest, especially at this angle. Like, I really have to work with this a weird center line because the center is coming down this way. So it's a really weird center line. It was easy when it was just a death's head. In the comics, it's a death's head. For the Day of the Dead, his Hispanic heritage. And I love how the original version, they just made it the death's head. You know, this version, they want to make it literally a spider. But it was a death's head that looked like a spider. It was kind of cool. I like the original design. This design is cool. I like the original design better, if I'm being completely honest. Not because it was simpler, because it's not that much simpler. But, you know, he had almost like, you knew that he was a different type of Spider-Man because it wasn't really a spider. It was a skull that had legs radiating from it, or a design that looked like legs radiating from it that could read as a spider. I thought it was brilliant. I think it was Rick Leonardi who designed the original. Any of you Spider fans out there, feel free to chime in if you guys have the answer. I believe it was Rick Leonardi who initially designed the first Spider-Man 2099. I believe. Don't hold me to that. And all of you who are transplants and supporters of me, of my studio, Honor Studios Entertainment, thank you guys for coming in and hanging out with me. One reason is ensuring that I keep my promise and show both platforms equal love. It was Peter something. I thought it was Rick Leonardi. All right, the first artist I know on Spider-Man 2099, because I bought it and I still have it, was Rick Leonardi. I do know that. I don't know if he designed the character, but I know he did the first couple of issues because that was a huge. I won't say huge. I really like Rick Leonardi's work. I really liked his work. Ooh, this is like that ultra fine joint. Ooh, look at that. That's a razor line, y'all. Ooh, ooh. That's a razor. That's like laying down the ink line with a needle. Ooh, I bought this. Ooh, I bought this. I got so many pens, y'all. I don't know what I got, quite honestly. I don't know what I got half the time. Peter David didn't draw it. Peter David is a writer. I have scripts from Peter David. See, you trying to spout that knowledge. Peter David's not an artist. He's a writer. Chaotic. I met Peter David. He's a writer. He probably wrote it. I know the artist was Rick Leonardi. I don't know if he did the design of the character, but usually the guy who does the first issue is usually the same person who does the initial designs, typically. So we'll do Rick Leonardi, Rick Leonardi for now. I believe I'm 95% sure it was Rick Leonardi. And then he kind of went dark in mainstream comics. I don't know where he went to. And, Chaotic. Also, point of interest, Chaotic, on who's watching via Twitch. I have a student applicant that actually met me at MegaCon the year before last. The one time I was at MegaCon. I actually have an interview with him coming up. And a year and a half later, he's applying for the school. So I was like, oh, MegaCon. I'm like, I did not recognize that guy's. I meet so many people. But I guess the biggest thing is that I left an impression for him to follow up. And he's down there in Florida. And I saw his initial interview. And he told Mo that he met me at MegaCon. I love MegaCon. My plan is to be at MegaCon next year. That's my plan. You like Ed Brubaker? That's the beauty of art, man. You can like who you like. You know what I mean? Ed Brubaker is solid. I'm not a particular admirer of his work. I don't do fans. I'm not a fan of anybody. Correction. The guy who I was a fan of his artwork, he passed last year. That was Carlos Pacheco. I am a fan of Stuart Immonen, and when I say fan, I mean whatever they put out, I'm buying. So I guess that qualifies as fandom. I am a fan of the work of Pepe Larraz and Mahmoud Asrar. Definitely a fan. Definitely a fan. Most others, I'm just simply an admirer of. Like, I might buy their books, I may not. Now I'm slowly becoming a fan of Dan Mora. I love his simplistic approach, his effective storytelling. It's very efficient. It's clean, not necessarily elegant, but it's clean. It's almost a throwback. He's like a modern day throwback. Dan Mora. Also, if you guys are following on YouTube, I'm going to be doing a series of videos on YouTube with Ka-Pow called Comic Surgery. Doc Solo does surgery on comics, where I will be objectively critiquing comics that are currently in the marketplace and giving my objective opinion on how they were executed technically. Us being a school on education and storytelling and the comic craft, Again, it's not based on opinion, it's not based on style. It will be objective reviews as we go through how artists are attacking the writing, how the writers are attacking the writing, how artists are attacking the visual interpretations, and Doc Solo does surgery. I already have a couple of books lined up. I've started working on the formats, and those will be forthcoming at Ka-Pow School on YouTube. And that's inspired because many of my students like how I would break down what artists did that were technically sound, how they navigated certain problems, as well as writers, because I'm actually a writer who can draw. I'm a student of the writing craft. I love writing. I'm not an artist who tries to pretend to be a writer. I'm actually a writer who pretends to be an artist. So, yeah, we're going to be bringing that to YouTube exclusively. You said that's funny? Yeah, that's funny. You catching a ride with a guy? Yeah, I'm planning on being at MegaCon next year. The way the school is tracking and the way it seems to be growing, I'm going to hopefully be able to afford. I'm only going to do 2 major shows, which MegaCon, hence the name Mega, qualifies as a major comic book convention. And so for Ka-Pow, I'm probably only going to do up to 2 to maybe 3 max major shows per year because of the expense. And number 1. And number 2, because Ka-Pow, we get mad love at smaller shows. And so I'm going to lean into that. You play to your strengths, and smaller shows seem to be our strength as it appears right now. You get so much love at small to mid-sized shows. And it's understandable because bigger shows, you got all the celebrities and, celebrity artists and celebrity guests. And, it's a lot of noise. There's a lot to see. And whenever I get any type of student inquiry, now for my studio, we're going to be at a lot more major shows because we just coming like that. We coming at the jugular to let people know, bam, we's here. Honor Studios in the house. Deal with it. But Ka-Pow, our small to mid-size shows, and I won't say small, but mid-size shows, we because we have the luxury, people actually want to talk, and I can really engage with people, and people are sincerely looking, not just kind of being herded along like they are at big shows. There's a big herd thing that happens at big shows. People just kind of move along, and it's cool. But I like to engage people. Me personally, I like to engage with the peoples. That made you jump and say, "Bam!" The mic works. How's that mic sounding? One. How's that audio, bro? I'm learning. Eyes learning. Eyes learning. Sound check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. So for those of you just watching, following, and watching us, whether you're on YouTube, let me know you're here. If you're on Facebook Live, let me know you're here. Again, we are omnicasting. That's going to be our way until someone says, "Hey, we want to monetize you, and you can only do it here for X amount of time," and then, but then we'll figure out something else. But right now, we's here. So the style that I'm working on right now is what I consider not quite your typical iconic comic style, but this is more of a simplified comic style that borders on animated. It's a little bit more complex because I'm using more angles and curves. Now, if I was to really do an animated style, I would abbreviate this much more to make sure that the shape language is clear and kind of just really lean into the geometric shapes, but that's not the case here. And so this is kind of a hybrid style between a simplified iconic style mixed with animated style. A little bit too complex to be animated, but a little bit not detailed enough to fall into the category of your traditional iconic mainstream comic style. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. And also, ignore the overlay. We do not have 7 seats available any longer. As of last count, it's more like 2 or 3. And I'm happy for it. I didn't think I'd be here this soon because we have so many shows left. I have more conventions left to do. I'm still very much in my convention circuit season. I have a couple of invites to, present at comic events. And usually I end up, I've been known to grab a student or two there that kind of fits the what we're building at Ka-Pow. So yeah, it's exciting times. Our humble but dynamic school is growing. One of the things I like to encourage people is whenever you're drawing, I see a lot of people they nurse what I call nurse lines. One of the keys to really just kind of attacking a drawing, if you can see how I'm doing here, is just being very confident. And that's built over time. Just lay the line down and then work the line that you lay down. Just work it, right? I'm not really trying to measure. I'm not moving tentatively, nervously. I'm just really just navigating through the forms that I've laid out via the sketch. And that gives me a little bit of confidence to go ahead and just put it down there, not worry about too much technical stuff. This is, again, sketch and chill. We're not trying to make a masterpiece here. We're just trying to make something that is competent and looks cool and hits all the visual cues, right? A lot of times, like when I'm doing portfolio reviews, which I'm asked to do occasionally at a show, is I'm looking to make sure, can I recognize what you're trying to communicate? Really, when we're drawing, all we're doing is visual communication, right? Yes, it looks cool. Yes, it's fancy and all that other stuff. But at the core, we're communicating, right? And are you communicating clearly? And every character, every design has certain benchmark, hallmark, key identifiers, right? And so when I'm doing a portfolio review, I'm looking for those. Okay, regardless of your style, do I know what you're trying? What are you drawing, man? Right? Is this character? Batman, he has the horned cowl, you know what I'm saying? And a certain silhouette. Are you conveying that accurately? That's all I'm looking for, as well as technical issues. But you're in a problem if you're having some serious communication issues. If people can't recognize the character that you're putting on paper, especially when you're doing a fan piece, you got problems that probably would facilitate and necessitate some type of mentorship and education, which is what we provide here at Ka-Pow. All right. Now I'm just laying down these major points. Again, not trying to create a masterpiece. This is why it's called Sketch and Chill, even though I will be doing, more in-depth pieces later. Right now, I'm trying to fulfill a promise and keep my word. My brother was like, did I miss a stream today? Or did you say what I thought you said? And so, yeah. Doesn't mean I'm trying to crank out crap, but at the same time, I'm not trying to, do a piece that takes 3 or 4 hours. All right, man. Have a good night. Will I do what for you? Chaotic asks, will you do this for me? I don't understand the question. Don't understand the question. I don't understand the question. The reason I'm not worried about these tangents and these what I call these hotspots, the hotspots are where I kind of pause with such a heavily saturated pen and it kind of bleeds. I'm not worried about that because that's going to be black, right? I'm going to fill that up all that up with black soon enough. Making sure I get my visual cues down here where I want these shadows to fall. And since his body's a little skewed, we gotta make sure we have that skew in there. And I'm just using the Sharpie here. Again, if I wanted a more refined piece, I would use a more refined tool. Sharpie's kind of like a blunt instrument, but it's effective for laying down large areas of black. Great for, again, sketching like this. Now, if I want, like I said, if I was doing a more refined piece, I'd be using probably my microns or a Fude brush pen or something like that, where I'm really nursing the lines and really making sure that everything is proper in its place. But again, this is just a sketch. And I'm going to keep it just a sketch for now. Okay, cool. That's cool. Oh, review your portfolio? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd be honored to review it. When people ask me to review their portfolio, I don't know how other guys look at it, but it's a privilege for me. I mean, that someone really wants insight and commentary and they think that I'm qualified to give it. That's a privilege for me, I don't know why more artists don't do it. I know oftentimes it's a time factor, Um, but I love giving portfolio reviews. It really is an honor for me. So yeah, I'd be honored to give you a portfolio review. All I ask is, I tell people is, are you sure you want to know? If you sure you want to know, because I'm gonna be honest, right? And if you want to know, we can do it. If you really want to know. But here's a tip that I give everyone whenever getting a portfolio review. And this is one of the things that I was taught by my mentors in the industry, right? Whenever you're going to someone and you're asking for a portfolio review, if at any point their critique somehow gets tainted by a style commentary, politely grab your portfolio, tell them thank you, and go about your way. Style is subjective, right? Whenever I give a critique, it is primarily on the technical execution of what they're trying to convey: anatomy, composition, right? Visual interest, whatever the case may be, depending on if it's a page of sequentials, the elements that make it a clear story. Are they at play? Perspective, juxtaposition, shading, line work, the whole 9 yards. Now, I'm not above giving a style critique, especially what I will do when I start to segue into style is less of a critique and more of an insight. And so if I can dial in on who that person's primary influence is, because we all have them, I would say, so correct me if I'm wrong, you're being influenced by John Buscema or Neil Adams or whoever the case may be, right? If I can dial in on it clearly that you're really just sipping from that primary well, then I will critique the style aesthetic against that gold standard that you admire, right? Because if you're going to try to adopt a specific style, there's always a gold, silver, and bronze standard, in every arena. Most of us, we shoot for the gold standard. Like when I'm doing my iconic style, me being a fan of Stuart Eminem and Carlos Pacheco and Pepe Larraz, you'd be hard pressed to see their influence, because it's certain things that I emulate from them, right? That I learn from them, but never enough to be, I don't think, a ripoff. Okay. But still, I'll show you, this is where I got this guy from. I got this technique from this dude. See this hand? I love how this guy does hands. I love how this person does eyes. I love how this person lays out his panels or does his worm's eye or his pacing in the story, right? It should, whenever it goes into a style point, then make sure that it's really based on whoever that gold standard is, and not, ooh, your style sucks. Well, I don't like your style. You ain't gotta like my style. Okay, give me the key points and let me know if I'm tracking correctly. And I've had people do that when I was a young artist trying to, cut my teeth, in the comic craft. There were some dudes that didn't know how to critique. They just really, were stuck on style elements. And I'm like, bro, who cares what style I'm trying to approach? Give me the key points that I'm building this style upon. Style is nothing but window dressing. It's window dressing. It's aesthetic, right? It's visual appeal. If you don't like my style, fine. You don't have to like my style. Let me know if I'm executing the fundamentals correctly. Hope that helps somebody out there who's looking for portfolio reviews. I say so brutally honest. It's funny. When I was doing an interview today. I don't believe that honesty has to be brutal. I believe that it has to be succinct. It has to be direct, but it has to be sincere, right? And so I don't do brutality in honesty, because that means I'm intentionally trying to hurt, right? By my honesty, right? And so I never liked that. It seemed very contradictory, kind of oxymoronic to me. Well, if you allow me to be brutally honest. Now, believe it or not, back in the day, I wanted people to be brutally honest, and because I get it as a cliche. But as I've gotten older, I realized that let's go for sincere, right, direct, clear honesty, right? And some people would say that's brutal, but it's probably more on the receiver's end than it is on the sender's end. And so, yeah, you want sincere, direct honesty. That's what you really want. Okay, no, I don't think anybody wants to be brutalized. Who wants to be brutalized? You know what I mean? Bring that leg here. Bring that there. That's going to... And then we're going to have this leg there. And so we're going to have some chest shadow here. All this is going to be black. And this is all just problem solving. I'm trying to find the best places to lay these shadows so everything reads clearly. Because I'm dealing with, a monochromatic template by using this tonal paper, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add a few highlights to kind of give me some depth. See, these Sharpies, this is a hammer. Sharpies are the sledgehammer of inking. They're good for laying down large blocks quickly. Oh, good. I'm glad that helped you, bro. Yeah. I do anything from kid. I don't have a style. I don't have what I consider a native style either. Chaotic. And again, you've heard me say this on the other stream. That is because of my formative developmental phase in the craft. I was in animation, and being in animation, I was both at the same time trying to be effective and as well as learn, right? Whereas like the lead animators, since I was an intern, those guys were just focused on ultimate execution. Me, I was trying to learn and execute, so I didn't feel like a complete butt in working with these high-end pros. And so I didn't feel completely inadequate, right? And so with that being said, trying to learn on every project that, was coming my way, every task, my style was always based on whatever was in front of me at the time. But here's the thing. I believe Jerry Garcia said it. He said, style is the stuff that you get wrong. Yeah, it's just that I'm only using red paper. I'm using the red paper because it's a challenge, right? It forces me to think. Tonal paper forces most artists to think counterintuitively to what's comfortable for them, right? And so I'm trying to see if I can use these red notes because this character is primarily red. I'm going to add some shadows to it, right? I'm going to add some shadows to it. I'm going to make it I'm using the red as a base color and a mid-tone, and then I'm gonna add a little highlights, right? But it's more of a challenge. Like white being a blank slate, tonal paper is not a blank slate. It's already got color on it. And so now you got to navigate around that and build in a way that you may not build if you're just on white paper. So I've got blue tonal paper, I've got green, I've got yellow. Today I was feeling red. It was sitting here on the table. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm feeling red today. Let's go ahead and make something red, you know. And because I'm so set on being better, even though, you know, I'm a competent professional, I'm so set on, I'm always pushing myself, always. Like, this is more mental gymnastics than I wanted to do at this time of day, right? Because I'm really problem solving. Like, I want to have this shoulder read, so I'm gonna have to put his web cape up against it, but I don't want to use line. I want to use that negative space from there, because I'm forced to use black line already in here, right, to make all this stuff read. As I start adding like muscles and the space in between, and just not trying to mess that up, right? You were here when I did the Archangel one, right, on blue paper. Weren't you here when I did that one? I thought you were. I don't know if you were on when I was streaming. I did the Archangel piece. That sold immediately. I was very pleased with that. I wasn't even intending on selling that. It was just I'm just putting stuff in my portfolio so I can make this show. And somebody saw it, say, "Oh, how much for that Archangel?" I'm like, what? You never know what's going to resonate with fans, man. Everybody has a unique. That's the beauty of fandom. Everyone has a unique thing that gets their attention. That's what I tell young artists. Hey, it doesn't have to be your best work, but put it in there. Somebody might like it. You know, somebody might like it. Put that there. You add a little boom. Well, he does have a cape. It's a web cape, right? So Spider-Man 2099 actually does have a web cape in the original. It's a cape. It's short. It serves no other purpose. It just kind of dangles there. I think they gave it a purpose in the actual movie, but no, it's a cape. It does nothing but flitter in the wind in the comics. That's all it does is flitter in the wind. Sounds like a cape to me. Sounds like a cape to me. It was just a cool graphic element. I'm like, okay, that's a cape. They gave Spider-Man 2099 a cape. Cool. At least the webbing that the original Spider-Man used to have under his armpits, you know, served, I guess, to help him glide back in the day. And also, I think in the video game, that's what it's used for. Like to glide or something like that. I don't know why I'm bothering making everything solid black, because I've been actually practicing on loosening it up and just letting the scribbles work. But this is me resorting, but I might just kind of, because I kind of like the scratchy. I've been studying, one of the artists I've been studying who I love. I don't like his comic book work per se. He's a pro. He is a monster, incredibly talented. I just don't like his comic book work, but I love his sketch work and his con work, the stuff that he does quick, and that's Ken Lashley. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Ken Lashley. Lead Color, the brother from Canada. Don't really care for his comic stuff, right? His panel work. I don't really care for any of his finished stuff, the stuff that gets printed. And he's good. The brother's good. I just don't care for it. But his sketch stuff, the stuff that he does on tonal paper and at cons and on sketch covers, I'm trying to get my stuff to that level on the sketch stuff, right? Because it has a rawness that I'm still very hesitant to use. And I might do it on the next piece that I do the next time I stream, where it's just really, he's not putting a whole lot of effort into refinement, but everything is crystal clear and it's got this energy. It's got this rawness that's just, it's just sexy. It's just amazing. But it's funny, why would I like his sketch stuff and not like his finished stuff? I don't know. That's the nature of art, y'all. It's art. You know what I'm saying? It's art. But that brother's, oh my gosh. His sketch stuff is amazing. Kenneth Lashley. Like if I met him, it would definitely be, bro, can I get a commission? Just tell me how much. Just tell me how much. I'm going to try to rough this up a little bit. And it doesn't absolutely suck. Yeah, I can get a little rough with it. That style, right? Things can be too clean. Let's rough this up a little bit. Now, I'm not a big fan of cross hatching, but I love hatching and slashing. And that sounds like a serial killer thing, but you know what I mean. I want all this black butting up against the red. Now, here's the funny thing. What many people don't realize, and I'm going to start doing all my Spider-Man this way. So whenever you see me do a Spider-Man in the future, like the traditional Spider-Man, like Peter Parker, and even this guy, Spider-Man 2099, I think Spider-Man 2099 is blue and red for the same reason why mainstream Spider-Man is currently blue and red. And to me, that is because of the misreading of the color palette when the characters were created. Most people don't know that the original Spider-Man, his costume is not red and blue, it's red and black, right? If you look at many of the comics from that time, if a character had black hair or a black cape, it had a blue highlight, right, to reflect light. And that was meant to be a highlight. It was not meant to be the color of the hair or the cape. No one had blue hair. It was either black, brown, blonde. And so Spider-Man, his original costume, if you look at the original Steve Ditko stuff, it was actually red and black with the blue highlight, which was meant to represent reflected light. Okay? Somewhere along the line, somebody coloring it said that his costume was red and blue. There's an artist that I follow right now that I am an admirer of his commission work as well, and not so much his comic work, and that is Mike McCone. His commission work, his watercolor paint stuff, I'm actually practicing it right now because of him. That stuff is fire. And so with that being said, he does a lot of his Spider-Man stuff. He adheres to the old red and black. He doesn't cater to the red and blue. So all of his commissions, whenever you see Spider-Man, you're seeing Spider-Man in his red and black costume. And it's fully painted, watercolored. Absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And so I'm going to start taking my cues from him and following suit whenever I do Spider-Man. I'm like, no, you want a Spider-Man for me? Skip the... And I think Miles Morales was kind of a nod to that. You dig what I'm saying? But they still keep doing Spider-Man Red and Black. I'm like, that's Spider-Man originally was, I mean, Red and Blue. He was originally Red and Black. And it looks so cool. Because what a lot of people also don't know is that Spider-Man was really Marvel's first attempt at kind of delving into something a little bit creepier, because they were still on the sci-fi kick. So they're delving into, the creepy. It would be kind of creepy if a guy was, like a spider, and it wasn't quite. He ended up becoming, but it was their lame attempt at, I believe, something akin to horror. So. Go figure. I think the next time I jump on here, we're gonna do a female superhero. We're gonna do a lady, probably from DC. People be snoozing on DC. People don't like to give DC their props. DC they have some of the most interesting characters anywhere. They just don't have the best stories. They can't seem to get their continuity in their movies right. Pause right quick while I answer this. Mute. Sorry about that, y'all. When wifey calls, hubby answers. It's called priorities. It's called priorities. Let's go ahead and start adding this stuff here. All right, I don't know who's here, but if you're here and you're watching, thank you for hanging out. I'm Dr. Doc Solo Perry of Ka-Pow, the Comic Art Academy. Welcome. Hope you like what you're seeing so far. If not, keep it to yourself. No, I'm just joking. Welcome, one and all. Just doing a little bit of sketching and chilling. Some easy music, some good company, and we're gonna navigate the Spider-Man 2099. I think I'm not hating it. Thank you, Pookie welcome. Thank you for checking me out. Hopefully you decide to hang around, subscribe, whatever they do on Twitch. How are you this evening? I'm Solo. I am the director of Ka-Pow, the Comic Arts Academy. We are an exclusive online comic art school. And I'm the director. And so I'm now currently expanding myself and streaming regularly to grow awareness for what we offer, who we are, and how we do things. And this was a request by that one chaotic artist, Spider-Man 2099. Just doing a little bit of sketching, not trying to go too far down the rabbit hole, but get something that's nice and clean and legible and respectable. And we're going to call it a day. But I'll be streaming here every Tuesday and Thursday night, ideally. If you want more, let me know. Check us out. Follow. Get those notifications. Whatever happens on wherever you're following from. All right, so I'm missing one finger, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take this one out here, put the pinky right there. There we go. There's the pinky. Doesn't take a whole lot, right? Not rocket science. Well, it is anatomy. It's not rocket science, but it is anatomy, right? So let's give it its proper respect. It is science. It just ain't rocket science. It's human science. His wife is on her way home. I will be on here to finish this piece. Apparently. Because she ain't home. And so it's just me here. Nah, my wife is amazing. I married Will, y'all. Go ahead and put this in here. Boom. Again, we're using just Sharpies. People think they need all these fancy finagle pens, and trust me, I have them all. And I do use them. But it was funny, I was interviewing a student applicant today for his final interview that he had passed the first round of interviews. And people always ask me, what is there a pen that I need, or a pencil, or a utensil? I'm like, yes, there is a specific type of pen and marker that you do need. The kind that draws. It's not right. And he started laughing. I'm like, yes, I get that question all the time. You know, you ask 10 different artists their tool of choice, you're going to get 10 different answers, y'all. There may be some overlap. There's often similarity and a little bit of nuance, but more times than not, right? It really boils down to what gets the job done. Period. In this case, we're getting the job done with a Sharpie. 2 Sharpies to be precise. And we won't even mention my bizarre addiction to the smell of Sharpie. I love the way these things smell. Whew. Cannot be good for you. I'm hoping they're non-toxic, but they smell so freaking good. Do I still have time for commissions? Yes, I am busy in running and growing a school. I typically do commissions. I open up for commissions occasionally. I'm currently not. Now, before I answer that question, will that affect you following me here? Because we're trying to grow the audience here. So, no, but to be honest, I do commissions, yes. I'm not currently open for commissions because I'm in the middle of convention season, right? I will probably open up for commissions. I do the opposite of a lot of other professional artists, right? Because I have my own studio as well as my own school, and I have a studio here as well called Honor Studios. Here on you're watching on Twitch. Yeah, you're watching on Twitch. So on Twitch, I have a studio called Honor Studios. You can follow me on Honor Studios as well if you're inclined, and that's my studio properties. Because I'm natively from animation, I've worked on Warner Brothers. I've worked on Batman animated series, Animaniacs, stuff like that. I've done work for Marvel, some small publishers, video games, companies, movies, the whole 9 yards. And so because I have a business as well as a studio, I do the opposite of many other artists. I open up for commissions when convention season starts, because convention season, usually most artists open up for commissions and they deliver them at conventions. I'm trying to grow the school, so I have a different mission. So to answer you, yes, I do commissions. I'm not currently open for commissions, not currently, but I will be soon, because our enrollment is almost already full. As soon as I know that the school is good, right, and my teachers are good, and we've got everything ready for September 11th when classes start, then I'm focusing on the studio, growing the school, doing streaming regularly, and I'm gonna be doing some commissions, because this is a good place to do commissions, right? This is a good place to do commissions. Yep. What are you into? Since you asked for commission, what are you actually into? Let me know. What do you like? Because sometimes a commission is just too sexy to pass up. So I got to know, like, what would that look like? What are you into? Always have to tell people I do no lewd or nude. I will do sexy and attractive, but I don't do any lewd or nude commissions. I just have to say that because geeks, they are people, they can go a little dark. You know what I mean? And even though I don't have little kids anymore, all my kids are adults. I try to keep it PG-17. I would very much like to hear, like, what kind of characters. Are you a collector of a specific character? I just did a Storm piece for a collector, which to date is my most prized commission, and I'll tell you why. This particular collector met me at C2E2 2 years ago, and very, as most collectors are, very unassuming. You know what I mean? He liked my artwork, and he gave me the most gracious compliment. He says, "Man, I collect nothing but Storm." He's like, so he has a Storm gallery in his home of nothing but Storm from the X-Men. And I'm thinking, okay, cool, yeah, I can do a Storm, not a problem, right? And he's like, "Hold up, bro, you don't understand." He's like, "My collection is elite." And the dude pulls out his phone and he shows me a video of his gallery at home with all the Storm pieces that he's gotten commissioned over the years. And he only got, we're talking about comic book legends: Neil Adams, John Byrne, Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, right? Pepe Larraz. And I'm looking at this video of all these Storm commissions in this dude's house, and I froze. I froze. I'm like, bro. I'm like, I said, and because we can tell our these artists, because they are legends, right, in their own mind. I'm like, you want me to do a Storm? He says, "No, bro." He says, "I would not come over here." He's like, "You may not be well known," he says, "but your stuff is in the class with these guys, as far as I'm concerned." He's like, "I have to have a Storm piece from you." And so you talking about pressure. It's better to not know who your stuff is going to be sitting next to, right? I literally procrastinated on that piece because I was intimidated simply by the quality of the pieces in this dude's collection, that I just felt so unworthy. And I did the piece. I sent it to him. It took me a while because my mom was passing when he commissioned it, so I kind of shut everything down while I was grieving and going through that whole process of losing a loved one, which I'm sure many of you can relate to. But when I finally got the piece done, he loved it. He loved it. It actually said, "This is going to be a centerpiece, bro." He says, "You killed this." And so that was actually the last commission I did before I just sent that off a couple of, like, 2 weeks ago. If you saw me at a convention recently, any of the last 2 or 3 conventions I was at, I actually had that piece on my table in acrylic, and I was just kind of taking it around just to kind of let people know who I am and what I do, to help fill out the table. Most people thought it was an actual, even though it was a sketch cover, most people thought that it was a actual printed comic book cover. And I did it in colored, I did it in pencil and markers. So if you're still there, I'm curious to see what you're into. You were at Terrificon last week. I heard that was a huge compliment, Booker Mac. You have no idea. And I literally procrastinated. I was terrified. I was so terrified. I went out because he gave me a Storm sketch cover that was his, Storm #1. I went on eBay and bought 5 more in case I messed it up. I bought 5 more Storm sketch covers like his, just in case I messed it up. So I guess I got 5 chances to get this right. I heard Terrificon was a great show. I heard that's a really good show. How was it there for you? You loved it. I think one of my instructors went to Terrificon, I believe. I believe one of my instructors went to Terrificon. Don't quote me. My instructors are more renowned than I am, just to be clear. I am the most famous artist that no one's ever heard of. That's my tagline. And people find that humorous. But my instructors, they get invited to shows. That lets you know how. No one's inviting me to anything. Like I said, the stuff I worked on back in the 90s, it sounds good for those who know, but us 90s, us were in our 20s and whatnot in the 90s, is a very select pool that still remember that stuff. So, those who don't do teach. No. I still do. I still get offers. I actually got some offers to do some Marvel stuff a couple of weeks ago. I turned them down. I declined it. I'm on a mission to grow my school and my studio so that they can stand on their own merit alongside the powers that be. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. No, I don't get invited because I'm not a name, right? I'm known by those who do know me. So tell you a little about myself. Those who know me, I'm a retired Chicago police officer, right? I was actually part of a small group of aspiring artists back in the late 90s. It was a small band of us, and we were all they were trying to break into the industry. I was just trying to know I was good enough to work for the industry. 2 different things. And I was actually the first one offered industry work. I was offered to work on Superman by the editor-in-chief at that time, who shall remain nameless, because apparently he fell into some really deep scandal, unable to keep his hands to himself and feeling on the female employees at DC Comics. Okay, so we don't talk about Elmo, Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno, no. So we don't talk about this dude, right? But anyway, I was first offered to work on Superman, and everybody thought I was crazy because I declined it. And then I had some opportunities to do some stuff for Tom McFarlane and Spawn at the same show. And I was just at a different place than my peers. I really just wanted to be good enough. But because I was mentored at the animation studio by a comic book veteran, a comic industry veteran. He's the one that actually gave me the idea to try comics, because he liked my stories. He thought, and he mentored me every week for the better part of a year and taught me the comic craft. But he also educated me to the going-ons in the industry. And with what the industry was, I knew what it was more so than my peers did. And so I just wanted to level up my skills to the point to whereas I could work for the industry, but I knew I was good enough to create products to contend with the industry, right? That if I drew something, could it stand side by side next to Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, right? Just on execution alone, right? And on its own creative merit. And so when I got offered that work, I really, everyone thought I was nuts, but I already had a job. I was a young rookie cop. When I wasn't a rookie at this point, I was 2 years in. I was a young cop on Chicago Police Department, and I had a wife, 4 kids. Industry. I was making more money than most industry artists anyway at the time, just being a street cop. And I knew what the industry was. I knew that, by and large, you got to understand, back then they were the gatekeepers. There was no social media. There was no democratization of the industry in any real way. You either came through them or you were cast into oblivion, right? You just cast into oblivion, for lack of a better term. And so, and back then it wasn't even cool to be an artist alley. Most people that were in artist alley were either, former industry pros that had a reputation, or people who quite frankly weren't, good enough to crack the ceiling into the professional ranks. And they were sentenced to artist alley. This is the late 90s, early 2000s. And I didn't want to play that game. You know what I mean? I didn't want to play that game. The game of you working on a book, editor doesn't like it, you got to go back, they send it back, and mind you, getting a page rate, you're not getting an hourly rate, and it doesn't matter how many times you got to redo it, you got to keep redoing it until the editor approves it, right? And then a book will get canceled overnight. You don't get a call until. These are stories from my buddies that are in the industry, and hopefully you got relationships and somebody can put you on another book, or they got another book to put you on, or you're scrambling yourself to find another book to keep the paychecks coming in. And it didn't appeal to me. You know what I'm saying? And so now, though, with the advent of social media and being able to come directly to you guys, and no more gatekeepers necessary. When I retired from law enforcement, those same buddies are now tenured veterans of the industry, and they were so happy when I told them that I was retired from law enforcement, because I had done freelance stuff here and there, stuff that I could had a low commitment to it that wouldn't take up too much of my time. I'd done that kind of stuff, right? But nothing really too substantial, but when they found out I was retired, I was so blessed that they were like, Solo, man, you're cool with us, man. If you want work, we got you. I got editors right now at Marvel and DC. I'll vouch for you. You published your own book, so they can see what you did. And I'm like, thanks, man. I'm good. Now I can kind of chart my own course. And I still love the industry. I just never wanted to play their game. I was always, I was raised by a mom who raised all of my siblings were all entrepreneurs. And so I was kind of raised with that thread. Well, if they want you, that means that they're not going to give you nearly what you're worth. So what could you do on your own if you really knew your worth? If you knew your worth, what would you do? And so the answer was simple for me. Go ahead and do your own thing, bro. Everything else will take care of itself. So yeah, man, but I'm gracious for this stage of life. I'm a grandfather now. I'm retired. Who knows? I might, change my mind and say, you know what? let me scratch this itch and, you know, do a run or two on a series, you know, make a phone call and say, hey, man, I think I'm gonna take you up on that order. You never know. But as it stands right now, I'm content. I'm so content. You know, not working in the industry allows me to give a level of attention and care to my students. You know, like I said, you know, good luck, you know, with someone who's constantly working because they're not going to be available. I like the fact that I'm available. You can talk to me. You can reach out to me. You see me at a con, you know, I'm not, you know, a big name, but hopefully people think that I'm, to your point, good enough to be a good name if I chose to be one. I'll talk to you. I'll stop. I'll be like, hey, what's up? Let's talk. What you got? What you want me to know? You know what I mean? You know, I'll do all that time. That's the fun stuff for me. I'll go ahead and erase this white line. It's a little waxy, but most of it should come off. We're going to add some highlights and a few shadows with all this negative space. But no, I don't get invited. Nobody knows who I am. See, I asked you about your favorites on Twitch. I generally like a lot of ink, black and white, 3-color. I'm not the biggest superhero. Okay, no interest in lewds or nudes. Aesthetics wise, I love gothic medieval imagery. I'm a fan. However, my convention collection has everything in it. When I pick a mainstream comic character, I usually pick John Constantine. Great tastes. I love that. Some of my favorites, Bernie Wrightson. Eduardo Rizzo. Yes, Kelly Jones. Oh, dude, you had me at Brian Stelfreeze, man. He is a modern master, in my opinion. David Mack. Okay, and Mike Zulli. You have great taste, man. Oh my gosh. You gotta be around my age range because your tastes are exquisite. They are downright amazing. I ain't gonna ask how old you are. I'm just saying I'm Gen X. You Gen X? You gotta be somewhere around there. Your tastes are amazing. Bernie Wrightson, Zulli, Eduardo Rizzo. Yeah, you're not new to this. You're true to this. Yes, he is. He's what I consider. All right, so Brian Stelfreeze is a god little G. You saw him last year at Baltimore. He did a quick brush ink sketch of Catwoman for a kid. Man, it's amazing. Yeah, you're around that range. Yeah, I'm 51. So you're right there on the brink of Gen X, I think at 42. Stelfreeze. So one of my team members on my studio at the last show that I did, he asked me, he's like, Solo, you seem very critical, right, in your taste. Now, granted, he's not an artist, right? He's not even really a fan. He's getting introduced to the comic craft via my studio for the most part. But he's a really good guy, really passionate, and that's why I brought him into the studio. So anywho, he says to me, Solo, you seem really, like you come off really hard on artists. And I said, you got to understand, I look at it through a different lens than you, right? I'm looking at it through a much, much different lens than you are. I said, I'm looking at, number one, what they're actually doing, right? I give credit to where credit is due. I'm not a hater. Lord knows that. Not a hater. I said, but it takes a lot more to impress me because I've been around this for a long time. I've been a professional artist since I was literally not just somebody paying me, but actually working, cranking out regular artwork that was being sold that I was creating for a t-shirt company since the age of 14. I got recruited by Marvel when I was 13 until they found out I was 13. And so my lens, it looks different for me, right? It looks different for me. I said, not that these guys aren't talented and capable, but one of my criteria is, number one, do I know what you're doing? Number two, can I learn from what you're doing? Number three, can I do it? Do you understand? And would I buy it? Right? Once you reach a certain level of prowess, that pool becomes somewhat thinner. You know what I mean? And he kind of understood that. And so my point in saying that is this. He says, well, how would you rank artists? And how would you rank yourself? Which I knew that question was coming because he wanted to make sure that I wasn't, pumping my own head up. I said, okay. I said, I will rank myself pragmatically, because I teach this to my students, how to properly position yourself in the marketplace. I rank myself to a high mid-tier professional. And not this stuff. This stuff is easy. I'm talking about actual comics. I tell people, you're not a comic artist until you're telling a story, a sequential story. If you're doing this is comic art illustration. You're illustrating in a comic aesthetic, but that doesn't make you a comic artist definitively, right? And I'm sure you can probably agree with that. That's my criteria, right? Everybody say, "Oh, I'm a comic artist." Now, first I was like, "Oh, really? What books have you done?" Right? What have you told a story? I don't care if it's independent. I don't care what it is. It ain't gotta be Marvel and DC. What story have you created? And oftentimes the answer is no. They just have prints and pinups, which is fine. I'm not criticizing that, but I'm saying there is a distinct difference between a comic art illustrator and a comic artist, in my opinion. And I said, number one, I'm a comic artist. Number two, I rank myself as a high mid-tier professional as far as technical execution. Why that? Is because to me, people like Brian Stelfreeze, I'll save that commentary for later, but you have God level, and those are the guys, little God level, God tier artists, which is Stelfreeze to me, Pepe Larraz, Mahmoud Asrar, John Byrne, Jim Lee, even though I'm not a fan of Jim Lee, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Guys that set trends, and Alan Davis, and for me, my number one is Stuart Eminem, right? Stuart Eminem just passed my number one storytelling mentor, even though he didn't know it. Not Pepe Larraz, even though Pepe Larraz, I'm having a brain fart. I'm having a brain fart. He just passed last year. Spanish artist. I have artist artwork everywhere and I'm having a brain fart. Well, anyway, those guys are God tier. And then you have your high-end pros. Your high-end pros, your God tier and your high-end pros, Eminem he's my number one. Eminem, oh my gosh. Eminem. My Mount Rushmore is Stuart Eminem, Pepe Larraz, Mahmoud Asrar, and oh my gosh, I'm having a hard time. He did Aerosmith. He did Avengers. He just died last year. I'm having a brain fart. My gosh, I'm tired. I'm short on sleep. I wasn't even going to stream tonight. Oh my gosh, what's his name? Anyway, he's also on God tier level for me, right? And so, as you know, because you're a collector, your tastes get kind of refined after a while when you've been exposed to it for so long, and you're not tossing shade at nobody. You just kind of know what you're looking at. I tell people like this, like if you were to ask me what a good wine is, I don't drink wine. I'm not a wine aficionado. I may have a glass every now and again, but I wouldn't know a good wine if you smacked me over the head with a bottle of it, right? It's because my palate isn't refined for it. I don't have context for it, right? And so I may say, ooh, this is oh my gosh, this wine is good. And a sommelier will look at me and probably sneer and call me a heathen, right? Or barbarian, because I don't have context like he does, like they would. And that's fine. And so that's what I was telling him. I said, I'm looking through a different lens. as someone that has navigated these waters, that was taught by a high-end professional, that has a healthy respect for every artist and what they do, but is not delusional and caught up in, you know, things that would not really carry weight amongst other pros, right? They work for fans, and he totally understood that. But Brian Stelfreeze, that brother is God level. He's little G. He's a God tier to me. I don't know why he doesn't do more work. Maybe he doesn't want to. I wish that he would, quite honestly, because the world needs more of him. The world needs so much more of him. Yeah, man. You had me at Stelfreeze, bro. Carlos Pacheco. Thank you. Carlos Pacheco. That's my number one when it comes to storytelling. Carlos Pacheco. I jumped on Pacheco's bandwagon way back when he was doing Bishop. Do you remember back when he was doing Bishop in the 90s? Right? And everybody was rocking Jim Lee. I was rocking Carlos Pacheco. David Finch, I love Finch's Monday Night Draw. He did a tribute to him. Was it on Monday Night Draw? And see, I'm not a Finch fan. Now, let me clarify. I'm not a Finch fan aesthetically. I am an admirer of Finch as a person and as a teacher. I love Monday Night Draw. I love his demeanor. I love his delivery. I love how informative he is. I'm actually, as I established Ka-Pow here on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, he is actually the gold standard of what I'm trying to do in this category. I'm trying to be at his level with this streaming thing, right? That's why I call it Tuesday and Thursday night sketch and chill. I love how he does things. He's a proficient pro. He is competent. He's high tier. Like I said, I'm high middle. He's high tier to me. But I'm not a fan of his aesthetic. I'm not a big fan of cross-hatching. I'm not a big fan of exaggerated proportions. There's a lot of... I have some 90s trauma, if you can understand that, right? I have a little bit of 90s trauma, and a lot of those artists that kind of carry some of those design elements over there, they're not particularly appealing to me, personally. You know what I mean? But Finch is that dude, man. Me and the student I was interviewing today, we were geeking over Finch. And I watch Monday Night Draw I watch all 2 hours, bro. And you say you watch 2 hours of somebody whose artwork you're not a fan of. It's because you do not, I tell my students, do not toss the baby out with the bathwater. Everyone has something you can learn. You can learn from. Are you humble enough to listen? Right? I'm not trying to copy Finch anytime soon. I love his painting stuff though. I think he's really I think he's missing his calling. The stuff that he's doing when he had Ariel Olivetti on there, right? I think he's really kind of I think he really needs to lean more into that. And we had E.M. Gist on there. Yeah. Let me ask you a question though, since you seem very well versed. Guy was one of my favorite artists, but I'm kind of on the fence because I don't know if he's really drawing his stuff, right? I know he knows how to draw, but I know a lot of artists now in mainstream, they're opting for tracing over 3D models, okay? And he was on Monday Night Draw, and every time I see anything that he does, it's already in a state of completion, right? You don't see at least I haven't seen any definitive sketch work from him yet, and that's Jorge Molina, right? It's like when he was doing that Captain America on Monday Night Draw, he came in with it already penciled and everything, and I'm like, dude, and I follow him on Instagram. Like, are you drawing? Or are you tracing using 3D models? You know, there's another artist, the one who, if you have Disney Plus, you can watch it on 616. I don't know this guy's name, but I'm like, this is what they're opting for now. This dude uses DAZ 3D. He worked on Miles Morales. He uses DAZ 3D. And he tells his story, obviously being translated, how for years he applied. It's all he ever wanted to do. He wasn't good enough, right? He's building the story, building it. He says, and then, I took some time off and I just really learned, blah, blah, blah. And then when I turned it in, I got hired. And I'm like, in a year. I'm like, so you went from crap to pro in a year. Now, mind you, he said he was horrible. And so you went from crap to pro in a year. I don't know if I'm buying what you're putting down. And so anyway, as you watch this episode of 616, which focuses on Marvel's artists, if you pay attention to his screen, he pulls up DAZ 3D, which is a 3D modeling software where you can pose the characters. And if you look at his Miles Morales characters, they all look like 3D models that were traced upon. They're very rigid, very stiff. You dig what I'm saying? He has a great sense of design to his character as far as like fashion. The dude has a great sense of fashion design. But I'm like, I don't know. Am I old for like, I believe in using the tools. Like I use Clip Studio Paint. And I'm not above dragging in the background in a car and tracing that bad fella. Okay? I don't believe that, every car, hand-drawn cars typically suck. Let's be clear. All right? From the greatest of the greats. Whenever they had to draw an entire car, it was a little wonky. All right? Now, you have people that actually design cars that have the whole thing down. But comic artists, we are kind of Swiss Army knives. We're not ideal tools for anyone, but we can execute competently across the spectrum. But we're not top tier oftentimes across the board. So ask a comic book guy to draw a car, ask a auto industrial designer to draw a car. They're going to kill a car compared to a comic book artist. I don't care who the comic book artist is. So again, I get the use of the tools. I don't hate it. But same token, I kind of feel that we're getting a little bit too dependent upon this stuff and losing the mystique of the craft. I think one of the things that makes art so appealing oftentimes are the imperfections. I think Jerry Garcia said it best. Technique is the stuff that you get right. Style is the stuff that you get wrong. And I believe that. Style is the stuff that you get wrong. It's uniquely you. It's how you're processing information and trying to deliver it out into the world. That's your style. And a few white highlights here. I'm not going to go too far down the rabbit hole, y'all. I'm about to get ready to call this one as done as I'm willing to do for tonight. I might revisit it later because, believe it or not, it's actually my bedtime. Thank you, One Reason. I know you're gone by now, but thank you, One Reason, for texting me and holding me to my promise, saying, Solo, you said you're going to stream tonight to start Ka-Pow's journey into the streaming verse. Where you at? So I jumped on. Thank you, Mercy, for the Spider-Man 2099 suggestion. I did it use a little negative space. Hopefully it reads well. I think I might add a little bit of some gray here. Actually, I got these new markers. These Ohuhu broad tip markers. Let us see what we shall see, shall we? And I don't know how dark these are. All right, so let us see something. see how this reads. See if we get some. See how it looks when it dries. I got these. I didn't, since Copic stopped making colored broad tip markers. They come empty. These Ohuhus are kind of like, especially now that they're refillable, they are that jam. And I got these so I can do some things like this. Add a little texture here. Yes, technique is the stuff that you get right. Style is the stuff that you get wrong. You and me both. I believe it was Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead who said it. I actually Googled it the other day, and I couldn't find exactly who said it. So don't hold me to that. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put the solo Hancock on here, right? And so boom, S O L O, and we're doing 8/3/23. Thanks so much, Pokemac. Thank you for hanging out with me. Hope you stay along for the long haul, man. This is going to be every Tuesday and Thursday. Time to be determined. I'm just trying to build the muscle and get the habit at this point. But thank you so much, man. I hope that you have a great night. Have a great weekend. I'll be streaming tomorrow morning at Honor Studios at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. That is my own entertainment production studio where I'll be working on some of our properties, provided the Honor Studios fam allows me to do so. We have some pretty deep conversations about things that matter to me personally, that are near and dear to me, that are not necessarily Ka-Pow stuff, but it is who I am at my core. And so if you're inclined, check me out there at Honor Studios. Until then, this is Doc Solo, DR Solo Perry of Ka-Pow, the Comic Art Academy, signing off. Happy Thursday. Be safe. Peace. Solo out. Hope you come back. Peace.